everyone. I have today been working with one of my students on how to subdivide a beat into 2, 3 and 4. What I wanted him to be able to do is to show the difference between those 3 rhythms and to be really clear. So what we did was the robot game, and this is a game that I learnt from Madeleine Duret, who's a fantastic Dalcroze teacher, and I am going to show you some snippets now of my lesson with Nick and how I adapted this Dalcroze game to work in a piano lesson. So the basic premise of the game is that one person is the robot and the other person, who sits at the piano, is a controller. The controller has to send the robot around the room without bumping into anything, and the robot has to listen to musical instructions in order to know where to go. In the video you're about to see, Nick has been told that when he hears crotchets, he's going to walk in a steady straight line. And when he hears 2 quavers, he takes a quarter turn to the right. After we've practiced that for a while, then we introduce the idea that when he hears a triplet, 3, he turns left. Now the next stage in the game, after he's heard lots of examples of these rhythms, it's his turn to try and recreate them on the piano. Now I like to instruct my pupils to start off with a simple 5-fingered hand position, so that might be just the first 5 notes of any major scale. This is good because then they can keep their hand in one place and watch their robot. For me, this part of the exercise is probably the most crucial because this is the part where the student gets to really see whether they are communicating what they think they are communicating. And if there's any ambiguity whatsoever in the rhythms, then their robot will turn the wrong direction or bang into a wall, and that can be quite fun. They can have to unravel it. The other difficulty in this game, which is worth mentioning, is that sometimes if the robot and the controller are not facing the same direction, the left and right will be opposite. So this is quite a challenge for the pupil to imagine that they're in the robot's shoes and keep remembering which way is right and which way is left. Which is 2, which is 3, which way?
Left is 3, right is 2.
3 and 2. Okay? Okay then. Once this seems reasonably secure, I will then introduce the final signal. Okay. So when we subdivide in 4 now, you worked out what the robot's going to do. It's going to do a 180. It's going to turn around.
I should have turned from the right.
It doesn't matter which way around you go. You turn around to face the opposite direction. Okay. So this type of game is called a quick reaction exercise or activity, and there are lots of these in Dalcroze Eurhythmics. You can see Nick in this video really having to discern the difference between the different rhythms, and also from my point of view as a teacher, I can see how much he's listening and understanding from the way he moves. So most of my instruction to Nick so far in this lesson has been technical, and it's been really concerned with those rhythms and getting them to be correct so the exercise actually works. Now once that's in place, the next thing to do is to work on creating melodies which have a sense of phrase, a coherence and a feeling of musicality. And the best way to do this is to model it when you are playing for them. Did you notice, by the way, what kind of melodies I was playing to get you to turn around? Note-wise?
Scaling.
Scaling. What do we call that? Sequences. The sequences are handy because they sound nice, and they're a really easy thing to have under your fingers, so you can think about the rhythm and not worry too much about the tune. As I mentioned before, the robot game is an example of a quick reaction game from the Dalcroze Eurhythmics practice. That said, I need to make clear that what you're just watching is not a Dalcroze lesson. It is a piano lesson which uses a bit of movement. The main differences between Dalcroze and a piano lesson would be that Dalcroze is almost always taught in groups, and the interaction of the children or teenagers or adults in that group is part of what makes that class work. Whereas in a piano lesson, it's more the interaction between the teacher and the student. The other huge factor is that in a Dalcroze lesson, normally there's a lot more space. So we would put a lot more emphasis on the quality of movement. So the robot game is just one way you might want to use movement in an instrumental lesson. And I hope if you've never tried this thing before that this has given you some indication of how useful it can be, how fun it can be, and how you can maybe make up your own activities that have this kind of thread to them. If you would like to find out more about Dalcroze Eurhythmics, then you can go to dalcroze.org.uk, and that website has a lot of information about courses and taster courses and training, and some testimonials from people who have also done training. If you would like to follow what I do, then you can like my page on Facebook. It's called Stepping Tones, and my website is called steppingtones.co.uk. I write all sorts of articles about piano teaching mainly, and bits of Dalcroze and how to run an instrumental teaching business. I hope you find that really useful. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.